You picked it up before your alarm even went off, before you said good morning to anyone, before your eyes were even fully open. The first thing you touched today was your phone. And that one reflex tells you almost everything about the problem we're getting into today. Because your phone isn't just a distraction or a bad habit you keep meaning to fix. It's quietly taking your future from you, minute by minute, and it was built by some very smart people to do exactly that. But here's the twist. Most of these videos miss. The same device that's stealing your time can be turned into one of the sharpest tools you own, including some AI tools like an AI investing website I'll show you later. So stick with me, because by the end of this, you're going to look at your phone completely differently, and that shift alone might be one of the most valuable things that happens to you this year. Let's start with the number that should genuinely disturb you. The average person spends somewhere between 4 and 6 hours on their phone every single day. Now I want you to do the math with me. 6 hours a day is 42 hours a week. That is basically a full-time job you are working for free, for a company that is selling your attention to advertisers. You are the product, and you are clocking in every single morning without even realizing it. But it gets worse than just the time, because the time itself is not the full story. The full story is about what that time is replacing. Think about the most successful version of yourself, the person you genuinely want to become. What does that person do differently? They probably read more. They exercise consistently. They work on meaningful projects. They build real relationships. They develop skills that compound over time. Now ask yourself honestly, when was the last time you chose any of those things over scrolling? When was the last time you put the phone down and did something that your future self would actually thank you for? This is what I mean when I say your phone is stealing your future. Every hour you spend in an endless loop of short videos, news feeds, and notifications is an hour that did not go toward building the life you say you want. And those hours stack up into weeks. The weeks stack up into years. And years become the story of your life. Here is a psychological concept worth understanding. It is called the attention economy. Billions of dollars and some of the most brilliant engineering minds on the planet have been devoted to one single goal: keeping your eyes on the screen as long as possible. Every notification, every autoplay feature, every infinite scroll is a precisely engineered trap. These are not accidents. They are intentional design decisions made by people who study human psychology deeply. The dopamine loop you experience every time you check for new notifications is the same mechanism that makes slot machines so addictive. You keep pulling the lever because sometimes there is a reward, and that unpredictability keeps you hooked. And here's the brutal truth. You are trying to fight billion-dollar algorithms with nothing but willpower. That is not a fair fight, and pretending it is a fair fight is why most people fail when they try to cut back on screen time. So what do you actually do about it? Let me give you something real here, not just vague advice to put your phone down more, because you have probably already tried that. The first shift you need to make is understanding that this is an environmental problem, not a character flaw. You are not weak because you check Instagram compulsively. You are human, and your environment is working against you. So you redesign the environment. Remove the apps that consume most of your mindless time from your home screen. Put them somewhere inconvenient. Better yet, delete the apps entirely and only access those platforms from a browser when you make a conscious decision to do so. That one tiny friction barrier reduces usage dramatically for most people because most of your checking is unconscious. You barely even know you are doing it. The second shift is replacing the habit, not just removing it. Nature abhors a vacuum, and so does human behavior. If you remove the scrolling without replacing it with something else, you will go right back to it. The moment boredom hits, the hand reaches for the phone automatically. So before you cut back, decide what you are going to do instead. Have a book within reach. Have a notebook for your ideas. Have a project that genuinely excites you. Give your brain somewhere better to go. The third shift is what I call protecting your prime time. The first 30 minutes after you wake up and the last 30 minutes before you sleep are neurologically your most vulnerable and most valuable hours. Your brain in those windows is either setting the tone for everything that follows or processing and consolidating everything from the day. Checking your phone during those windows floods your brain with other people's agendas, anxieties, and demands before you have had a single thought of your own. Start your morning with intention. End your night with reflection. Guard those windows like they are sacred, because they genuinely are. Now here's the flip side I promised you at the start. Because your phone doesn't have to only take from you. Used deliberately, it can hand you back time instead of stealing it. Think about investing. For most people, checking the markets is one of the worst scroll traps there is. Refreshing your portfolio, second-guessing every dip, chasing the little dopamine hit when a number moves. It's the exact slot machine loop we've been talking about, just dressed up as being responsible with your money. So instead of feeding that loop by hand, I let AI do the watching. AI can track trend shifts, reversals, and where institutional money is actually moving in real time, so you're not the one glued to the screen reacting to every candle. The tool I personally use for this is called Chart Prime, and it's linked below. It's the same principle as everything else in this video. You take a compulsive, reactive behavior off your plate, replace it with a system, and get those hours back for the work your future self actually cares about. Turn the phone back into a tool instead of the boss. Now let me talk about something that does not get discussed enough in these conversations, the emotional side of this addiction. Because for a lot of people, the phone is not just entertainment. It is comfort. It is escape. It is the thing you reach for when you feel anxious, lonely, bored, or uncertain. And if that sounds familiar, I want you to sit with that honestly for a moment. What are you escaping from when you scroll? What feeling are you trying to avoid? Because the phone never solves that feeling. It only delays it. And while you are delaying it, your real life is waiting on the other side of the screen. The discomfort you are avoiding is often exactly where your growth is hiding. The awkward silence you fill with your phone might be the space where a creative idea would have emerged. The boredom you escape might have led you to finally start that thing you keep putting off. Discomfort is data. Your phone helps you ignore the data, and that ignorance has a cost. Here is where this gets interesting. The research on what actually makes people feel fulfilled and happy in life is remarkably consistent. Deep relationships, meaningful work, physical health, a sense of progress toward important goals. And here's the thing, your phone directly competes with every single one of those things. It competes with deep relationships because it fragments your attention when you are with people. It competes with meaningful work because it interrupts your focus constantly. It competes with physical health because sedentary scrolling crowds out active time. And it competes with your sense of progress because it manufactures fake progress through likes and engagement while your real goals sit untouched. You are trading genuine fulfillment for simulated stimulation. That trade feels fine in the moment. Over a lifetime, it feels devastating. I want to be honest with you about something. Changing this is hard. Real change with your phone habits is genuinely difficult, and anyone who tells you otherwise is trying to sell you something. You will slip up. You will have days where you spend 3 hours watching videos you barely remember. You will pick up the phone reflexively 100 times before the new habit even begins to form. That is not failure. That is the process. The goal here is not perfection. The goal is awareness and gradual recalibration. Every time you catch yourself reaching for the phone unconsciously, that moment of awareness is a win. Every morning you protect from the scroll is a morning your future self benefits from. Every evening you end with reflection, instead of comparison, is an evening that actually belongs to you. Think about where you want to be in 5 years. Seriously take a moment and think about it. Now ask yourself whether the person who gets there spends 6 hours a day on their phone. Ask yourself what they do with that time instead. The gap between who you are and who you want to be is often found in what you do with the hours that everyone has equally. You have the same 24 hours as every person you admire. The only difference is where those hours go. Your phone was supposed to be a tool. Somewhere along the way it became the boss. And taking your future back starts with seeing that dynamic clearly. So start tonight. Next time you reach for it out of habit, pause 1 second and ask if this is actually what you want to be doing. But awareness is only where it begins. Actually rebuilding the habits that fill those reclaimed hours is where most people fall off, and that's exactly what I break down in the video on screen right now. If this one hit home, that's the one that turns it into real change. Tap it, and I'll see you over there.